Hello and welcome to episode number 41 of No Whining. It is Aussie Day. It's Australia. Again, we're going down under and we're going to start with this. A 2023 Pewsey Vale Eden Valley Dry Riesling. This is around $25. I just want to make a public service announcement up front. Pay attention to your pronunciation with this wine. Because let's just say you're talking to friends and they go, what are you going to do tonight? Maybe it's a Friday evening or something. And you say in mixed company, hey, I actually want to go out and get some Pewsey tonight. That's fine if you say it correctly. If you don't say it correctly, it's going to sound really, really bad and you may not have as many friends afterward, okay? This wine comes from the Eden Valley region, which is in the larger zone of southeastern Australia. Because Australia is by and large a very, very warm and very dry climate, we do need a way to cool things off, especially for a grape such as Riesling. And how is this done? Well, giant air conditioning units. No, it's actually, that is accomplished more or less by the elevation. Again, the higher up we go in a region, the cooler things get, and that helps us maintain acidity in the grapes and preserves a lot of that fresh character in a wine, which is wonderful. So this area, Eden Valley, is much cooler, for instance, than the neighboring Barossa Valley, which is only like a 30-minute drive from there. And Barossa is dry, warm, and it's famous for producing full-bodied reds like Grenache, Cabernet Sauvignon, and of course, Australia's flagship grape, which is Shiraz. Okay, some information from the tech sheet. It says a beautiful wet winter set the vines up for a healthy start to the growing season. A drier than average spring meant the vines responded quickly, growing and flowering well and setting a good number of bunches. Summer was warm and dry with cool nights. There you go again, that diurnal temperature swing. Summer was warm and dry with cool nights to ripen the grapes and maintain freshness and natural acidity. The balmy Indian summer of early March helped finish the ripening of these perfectly balanced and flavored grapes that were harvested between the 9th and 24th of March. Since 2011, parcels have been fermented with the wild yeast that comes in on the grapes from the vineyard. Now the soil composition is gray sandy loam. The elevation is 1,500 feet. Fermentation container is stainless steel tanks. No malolactic fermentation is encouraged. Pre-fermentation technique, 1 to 4 days on solids before wild yeast start to ferment. Okay, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into wine number 1. All right, this wine is clear. It looks like it might have just a tiny bit of spritz on it, a tiny bit of that effervescence character. We'll see on the palate if it's a little bit of a tingly sensation. This is a very pale lemon color, possibly even lemon green, and looks to have, I'd say, probably medium minus viscosity on the sides of the glass. Let's give this bad boy to the schnoz. This wine is clean. It is definitely youthful. Medium plus intensity on the aromas, starting out with like a really kind of fresh, bright lemon lime character. Okay, let's go back in. Got a little bit of grapefruit in there and then some like chalky mineral type notes. So definitely some minerality going on here. Lilies, getting some jasmine and a little bit of rosemary to round everything out. Okay, that's it for the schnoz. On to the jaws. Let's do this. This is a dry wine, medium minus on the body, medium minus on the alcohol as well. And the acidity though, it's like got this really bright, crisp, kind of sky-high acidity. And it's a persistent acidity alongside the very persistent now finish. So I'm going to say this has a long finish, medium plus in terms of the flavor intensity. I'm going to say this wine is very good. It's got all the right pieces, wonderful typicity to it for sure. This, to me, to be at the outstanding level needs just a little bit more maybe in terms of flavor and aroma concentration. But other than that, this wine is pretty flippin' marvelous. It's such a pure expression of this varietal of like a classic dry Australian Riesling. This is absolutely dynamic and beautiful and wonderfully put together. It's intense too in terms of the acidity. I do think this is suitable for bottle aging. If you put some age on this, I think eventually what you'd get is some of those, famous, again, petrol notes, right? Those petrol notes, some people don't like that. Other people find that very pleasing, but I think it's really interesting. I think that would come out more along with some more of the like honeyed character that you would expect from a Riesling that's aged. Again, this is a pretty young one. So the wine is youthful. I think as it ages, it's going to be even more interesting than it is right now, but it's drinking beautifully. So this is one of those, drink it whenever you want to. It's going to be awesome regardless. Okay, let us go to wine number 2. This is a non-vintage Red Schooner Transit 2 from the Wagner family of wines. This is a $50 bottle. And I know he said this is the Aussie episode. However, this particular wine is, in fairness, Aussie-ish. Or Aussie adjacent. What I mean by that is the following. So the grapes were put on transit ships from their birthplace in southern Australia, specifically Barossa Valley and McLaren Vale, and made their way out to the Caymus vineyards in Napa Valley, where the actual winemaking is done and where this wine is aged in French oak barrels. Caymus Vineyards is within the Rutherford AVA, which produces some of Napa's, and the world's, for that matter, most powerful Cabernet Sauvignon wines. This wine is a blend of Grenache, Shiraz, which is known in France as Syrah, and Mataro, which is known in France as Mourvèdre, or in Spain as Monastrell. Okay, this is a GSM blend, in other words, and that is something that was made very, very famous by France in the southern Rhone region, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, things of this nature. And this wine, I don't have a whole lot more information on it because there really is no tech sheet or anything especially helpful or more detailed on their website, unfortunately. However, there were a couple of awesome videos, and so I just want to remind you after you finish this episode to check out the links I included in the description, because there's some awesome videos that really give you a nice, beautiful kind of walkthrough of these vineyards, the winemakers, and it's just going to give you a wonderful feeling for the terrain and the environment. Okay, let's get into our second wine of the day. All right, this wine is clear. It is a very, very deep, I'm going to call it purple because it's definitely got magenta hues in here. It looks to be at least medium plus viscosity, possibly high viscosity on the sides of the glass, and medium plus staining of those gorgeous tears that it's showing us. Okay, let us send it to the schnoz for our continued evaluation. This wine is clean, it is developing, and it's got these wonderfully pronounced aromas, starting out with like I don't know how else to describe it, like a black forest cake is the best thing I can think of. And that is pretty stinking awesome right out of the gate. Okay, let's go back in. Yeah, cooked black cherries, chocolate notes, cream. This is awesome so far. Okay, there is more in store. Let's go back in. Got the dried fruit character of like strawberry and raspberry. Black currant, baked black plum. Showing mocha, some tobacco, also some mint, and maybe a little bit of black currant bud. Got some licorice and vanilla coming through for sure. White pepper, caramel, and pine. Okay, that's going to round it out. So on the nose, this has got some amazing complexity. Let's see how it does on the palate. That's dry. Full body for sure, high alcohol, which isn't a surprise, right? Like with such ripe fruit flavors, and the climate that these grapes were grown in, very, very warm, so we would expect that. Medium plus on the acidity, I'm going to say medium plus on the tannins, but they are very plush and soft and kind of ripe tannins, if you will. So very, very agreeable in that sense. Rich texture, and again, that Black Forest cake is just coming through so strong on the palate, but it's really, really awesome. It's not overpowering. It's just very interesting. It's well integrated with all the other flavors, and I'm going to say pronounced flavors on this bad boy for sure. A really, really nice long finish. And so this is outstanding. This wine is just got dynamic complexity to it. It's got wonderful balance and integration. It's bold, but it's not harsh. I'm going to say that this is not suitable for bottle aging, not because I don't think it can handle it, but I really, really think this has come perfectly into balance right now. And so like, it's one of those wines I'm like, I would be scared to mess with it by aging it any longer because it's just so beautifully put together right now. So I think it's to be celebrated in its current state. So let's bring both of these in. Which one, I'm curious, do you prefer? Which one did you enjoy tasting at home? What did you like? What did you like? Did anything surprise you about these? I was surprised by both of these. You know, the Riesling, again, just such a pure varietal expression. You know, that's got to be a huge compliment to a winemaker when they make something so pure. Like, this is exactly how this wine is supposed to be. Now, this red wine, this is amazing. And there's no real way that this is supposed to be exactly because it's very unique in terms of where the grapes are sourced from and then where the actual vinification is done. So this was awesome. Very unique, very complex. This is tough because these are both magnificent. They really, really are, in my opinion. I am going to pick the red wine, however. I just like it. Like, I like the style of it because I can't fault this one at all, but I just really like this style. I find it very interesting, very compelling. And again, some of the uniqueness from this, like that Black Forest cake I was talking about, to have something like that that is very special but not overpowering, I think that is challenging to do, quite frankly. And I'll give you an example, like a Pinotage from South Africa. We did one a number of episodes back, and I enjoyed it because I said you could have your coffee and your wine at the same time, like really, really heavy on the coffee side of that. However, you know, if I'm honest about it, that overpowered the wine and threw it a bit out of balance. You couldn't really engage with the other elements, the other aromas and flavors that were underneath the blanket of that coffee. Whereas something like this, you just have something unique that is beautifully blended into it all, and you've got all the other stuff around it that makes it as like the cherry on top, as it were. So that's my verdict for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you back here in the next one.